it visible now when you go to my channel?
What?
Is it visible now when you go to my channel? Because it didn't work on my phone.
Uno momento.
Hi, Jade! And crew. I'm assuming Debbie and Zach are probably there too.
Live is live. One viewer.
Okay. Adam, we're recording. Jeez. Do we have sound? Debbie's on top of a ladder. Oh my.
Oh, I heard my burp.
Okay, all right. Sound is on then. Welcome everyone. I am Coach Marisa Reyes at The Power Within, empowering healthy and fulfilling lives, body, mind, and soul. And tonight is for all you Harry Potter fans out there. We are talking about defense against the dark arts. That's right.
I be Slytherin.
AJ says he's Slytherin.
No, I be Slytherin.
Whatever. I am Gryffindor through and through. There's a house in Harry Potter that you think that you know, wherever you would find yourself, type it on in below. But regardless of your Hogwarts house, we all need to know defense against the dark arts because, man, if you don't know what you're up against, it can just take you down, and then you think that it's something that's wrong with you, not understanding that there are forces out there that are that you're under attack from, and you didn't even know it. They like blindsided you, and it sucks. So we're going to talk about what you're up against tonight, and then strategies to defeat that opponent. And our opponent is shame. And most people have confused shame and guilt. So Harry Potter is a book, guys, not just a movie. Anyway, so shame is the intensely painful feeling or experience where we believe that we are unworthy of love and belonging because we are flawed. And so I want to key in on a couple parts of this definition. Intensely painful. That's right. So it's not just like, oh, I'm going through shame. Like, it is incredibly painful. And so if you are hurting right now, like mentally, physically, spiritually, I'm going to guess that shame has a hand in this, which is why we need to know defense against the dark arts, because it's one of the peskiest ones out there. It's super strong. It's super sneaky. You don't know that it's at work. And if you don't know about it, then how would you ever be able to fight it off, right? And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Okay, so it's this intensely painful experience. And then the other part of it is where we believe, because we are flawed, that we are unworthy of love and belonging. And that is really hard, because that's when those voices in your head, the ones I've called shame gremlins in some of the other videos where we've been talking, they will say you're nothing. See, you can't do this. Nobody loves you. All the nasty, nasty, horrible things that make you feel just totally defeated and drained and basically take away all your hope. That's shame. That's not you. So I want you guys to know that it feels like it's you because it's going on inside your head, but it is not. And so tonight we're going to talk about how to recognize it, and then what you can do about it.
Are you going to go through Harry Potter since they don't know what it is?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, you know, if you guys were Harry Potter fans, that's fine. If you're not.
It's okay if you skip book 3.
Okay. Book 3 is where all the dementors are, though. And they're kind of like the shame gremlins, where they like suck away your soul and your spirit and just leave you like this empty shell. That's what shame does. So that's why it's a great reference. In fact, Brene Brown uses this terminology in her book as she's talking about shame and how to be resilient from shame, is that it's like, oh, it's like Defense Against the Dark Arts. So why do we need to know about shame? So if you're feeling resistance already, there's a couple things I want you to know. Number one, we all experience shame. Number two, we are all afraid to talk about shame. And number three, the less we talk about shame, the more control it has over us. So this is a pretty slippery slope, and shame has got itself a great gig in that nobody thinks they have it, nobody wants to talk about it, and because they're not talking about it, shame gets more and more power and control over you. So that's why we're going to talk about it tonight. So there's a difference between shame and guilt. Shame is destructive. That is that belief that we, it's like making a mistake, and there's two different ways that you could respond to it. It could be, I did something bad. That would be guilt. If shame was in charge, you would say, I am bad. So there's a very big difference between the two, because one of them is you did something, it's not who you are, so you can go fix that. But if you believe that you are bad or you are wrong or there's something wrong with you, then how would you ever be able to address that, right? Like, that's gonna just take you out of the game completely, because you'll just be like, well, I guess I'm bad. This is just who I am. So that's why knowing how it works is so beneficial. So shame is destructive. It is, it's not like when we talk about it, like now that I know the difference between the two, like people think that you can use them interchangeably, but you can't. Guilt is actually positive. It is a motivator. It's like, you know what, I screwed up. I need to go clean up that mess. I need to go fix this thing. So I might need to apologize to someone or do something to make it right. So guilt is actually a motivator for people, whereas shame is destructive. And it is correlated with things like suicide, addiction, eating disorders, depression. Oh, there's one other thing. Why can't I think of it? All the bad stuff is related to shame. And so, no, shame is never helpful. Shame is never beneficial. So, let's see if there's anything else. It's a focus on you, like there's something wrong with you, whereas guilt is a focus on your actions. And they are very different things. Okay. So, how we respond to the two is also different. So if you feel guilt, you are hopefully going to take some action to correct the mistake. You're going to either ask for forgiveness or make amends or change a behavior so that you do better in the future. But when it's shame, our responses are blaming. So now we're not taking any responsibility. We're blaming other people for it because we want to offload this terrible feeling as quickly as possible. It could be rationalizing. So like defending yourself, like, you did, I didn't need to do it. All of that, right? That's rationalizing. Like, offering an apology, like, sorry. Like, takes you back to elementary school and they're like, you tell them you're sorry, and the person doesn't really mean it. Shame will cause that behavior. And then the last one is hiding out. So when you experience shame, people often will pull away from the world. And so this is how I know when my loved ones are going through a hard time, because I'm reaching out to them and I'm not hearing back. And I'm like, uh-oh, shame has taken hold here. We have a problem. And so I'm going to continue to reach out to them. But I also know that if they're not getting back to me, they are probably caught up in a shame storm, which, right, those voices then tell you, see, you're not good enough to talk to anybody. And shame just feels horrible. It is not, we're disconnected, we're desperate for a sense of worthiness, but we don't know how to get it, and feeling very disempowered. Whereas guilt, it's uncomfortable, but it's motivating. And it's actually empowering because we're going to take some action to make us feel better. So, how do you know it's shame? I know it's shame because none of my other resilience tools work. So if I have gone through, I've done a fire ceremony, I've practiced forgiveness, I've smudged, I've done grounding, I've cut ethereal cords, like you name it, I've done every single tool that's there and I still don't feel better, that is an indication that it is shame. And so we need to take one step further. We kind of got to level up our intervention if it's shame, because our regular tools aren't going to work on it. So here's what to do if you're experiencing shame. The first one, you have to be able to recognize it. So for me, if I am constantly running a loop in my head after a situation and I am defending myself, like I should have said this and oh, I could have done this and they don't know anything about me. That wasn't fair. They didn't, right? That's how I know that I'm actually in shame, because I'm trying to prove that there's nothing wrong with me. I'm okay. So that's how I know it for me. So being able to recognize it and its triggers. So there's triggers that are really common for everyone. Money, your appearance, especially if you're a female, but anything to do with weight is a shame trigger. Relationship status can be a shame trigger. I'm trying to think of anything else if it's like fertility or lack of fertility. Your ability to fulfill society's roles that they think this should be, this is what men do or this is what women do. And
it's so funny, my therapist told me to do the fire ceremony, but I only did it once. She never said that it should be a
Oh yeah, so a fire ceremony, yeah. I was talking about that yesterday in my class, that a fire ceremony, like I have to do this regularly, so I do it once a week, and to make sure that I'm not carrying around all this other A lot of times it could be shame, and so I need to work it out on paper, and then when I realize, oh, this is shame, then I can start taking action with these actions. So recognizing it, that is one of the benefits to journaling, because fire ceremony is sort of like a journal, but you're not going to keep it, you're going to burn it. So it's different in that sense, because this is all the poison in your head that you don't want anyone to know, and you certainly don't want to hang on to. And so you write it all down and you burn it, and that is how you release it. And I often find that as I go through that process, then I can identify like what's really going on, like, oh, this is shame. So being able to recognize it is step one. Step two then is to say, like, are these, like, we're going to do a reality check, and like, are these messages or the expectations, what are they, and is that what's driving the shame? So is it the belief that, men need to be the providers and never show weakness, we're always strong? Or is it for women, like, that I can do it all and never break a sweat, and I'm pretty and I'm quiet and I'm nice? And if you're not any of those things, guess what? You're probably going to be experiencing shame, because these are unattainable standards for both males and females.
Whatever.
Yeah, AJ's never experienced shame, right? He just doesn't know. This is his first time hearing this stuff.
I hear it every day.
Oh, so once you've identified that you are in shame, then it's so vitally important to actually reach out to someone. And this is where I want to spend a little time, because this doesn't mean that you're going to go put out a Facebook post about your shame, okay? Because you're just probably going to get shame on top of shame, which is horrible. So what you want to do is you want to reach out to the people who have earned the right to hear your story. And this is going to be a very small group of people, probably 5 or less. It may just be one person, and as long as you've got one, that's all you need. And so they're the person that you can call and be like, oh my God, you're never going to believe what happened to me today. And as you tell the story, they are listening. They might be able to help you, like, start to laugh at it and be like, oh my gosh, what? Oh no! And just like help you work through it and process it. And then AJ, your typing is so distracting.
We call it a shame sandwich.
I don't know what a shame sandwich is.
When you put shame on top of shame.
Oh,
and
okay.
You try to wash it down with a cup of shame.
Okay, yes. You're distracting me. So you're going to reach out to these people, and then you're going to own the story. Like, you're not going to hide the fact that this thing happened. You're actually going to talk about it. Because when you talk about it, then it releases its power over you. And boy, have I found this to be so therapeutic to have the couple of people in my life when I'm like, oh, you're never going to believe what happened to me. And they know what shame is too. Like, we're on this journey together, and then we work it through together, and then I don't feel so horrible afterward. Like, I'm able to see myself as I truly am instead of having this take all of my power away. And then our final thing is to talk about it. So when you've reached out to this person, you're going to own this story. You're going to talk about how it made you feel, and then also ask for what you need. So sometimes you just need people to give you some space. Sometimes you just need somebody to listen. Sometimes you might need ideas because you're like, I don't know what to do. And so, I mean, it's going to be situational, but being able to advocate for that is really important in helping you to take your power back from this monster called shame. Ah!
Whoa.
Yes. Okay. Any questions so far before I go on to
Who's your Patronus?
my Patronus? I put that in yesterday I put that on Facebook, that I pictured my Patronus to be like a line of like people dancing, doing the shuffle. Every day I'm shuffling.
You made a conga line as your Patronus?
No, not a conga line. They're doing the shuffle.
Oh,
Or the hammer, as we called it in the late 80s. Coined by MC Hammer, of course. And so I just picture it like a line of shufflers in front of me doing their dance, keeping the dementors away from me. So, yes. Okay. So, let's talk a little bit about triggers. Because I want you to be able to see, like, oh, this is why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. So, for females, the triggers are that I can do it all, I can be perfect, and never break a sweat. I don't need help. And I've talked about this in other YouTube lives, that this is an unattainable standard. And so this is why for females, it's so hard for us to ask for help when we're having a hard time, because the shame gremlins will be like, see, if you were better, you wouldn't need any help from anyone. You'd be able to do this all by yourself. And so that prevents us then from reaching out and asking for the help that we need, which is like, humans are built for that. We are tribal animals. We can't survive without each other. But shame makes us pull away from the group, which can lead down to our, path of destruction. Like, it's not healthy for us. So that's it for women. And then you'll also find that it's like this, Brene Brown calls it a web, because no matter which direction you go, it's wrong. So if you don't have children, why don't you have children? If you do have children, why don't you have more? Or why are they so close together? Or why are they so far apart? And so it's like, no matter what you do, you can't win, because every direction is wrong. You're going to get it no matter what. Obviously, our appearance is going to come under attack. So that's always my challenge when I do a live like this, is like, oh gosh, okay, my appearance is going to be the first thing that the shame gremlins come after. So am I okay with that? So, that's just a little glimpse of what that could look like if you're a female. And if you're a male, your shame trigger is, do not be weak. No matter what, do not be weak. And so many things are assigned to weakness. Having to ask for help would be considered a weakness, or admitting that you have feelings other than anger could be viewed as weakness, or admitting that you're having a hard time, right? Like, all of that would be weakness. Or not knowing the answer to something. I don't know, like that would be viewed as weakness for people. And so it becomes, for men, it's like this box that's like crushing them. Like they have, like it's, think of it as like, something that's closing and closing and closing in, and pretty soon you're like, ah, and it's like crushing you. That's how shame works for males. So helping you guys to see like what that societal standard is that can be driving all of this for you. Okay, so the most important thing for you guys to know is that if you are experiencing it, once you realize it, first of all, like when you're in the midst of it, you should not be talking or texting or posting or emailing, right? Like, because you're still sort of in that like panic mode and the super defensive mode. Once you feel calmer, that's when you reach out to that trusted person and say like, oh my gosh, you won't believe what happened to me. So taking a deep breath when you're in that panicked place will help. And then, of course, reaching out and then sharing that story with someone that you trust. What, Adam? Oh, okay. I haven't seen anything on the screen. I just see the shame sandwich is the last thing I see.
That is correct.
Oh, okay. All right. So if you guys have any questions, please type them in below. If we can shine a light on shame, that's why they're called shame gremlins, because if you shine a light on it, it dissolves. And when I was going through a really hard time, like I didn't understand, this would have been what, 2013 into 2014. This is when I was starting to learn about shame, and I didn't realize that what I was going through that was so defeating and depressing, and just like I didn't even know what to do with my life. I didn't know who I was anymore. Like it was so hard, and I didn't understand that it was actually shame that was going on. And so the first person that I talked about it with, to be like, so here's what happened, and here's how I feel, and this is shame. And like as soon as I told that person what was going on, like they were like, oh my, but you're so amazing and you can do anything. And like they were like this cheerleader for me, and all of a sudden like the light was just like, ah! And I got to experience the immediate shift from being able to talk about it with someone. And let me tell you, I was scared. I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to admit it to other people, but I knew that that was the only way out. And sorry, I'm getting distracted by reading my posts.
What post? Nothing's being posted.
JD Video Productions just posted. And as soon as I talked about it with someone, they were able to help me get the perspective that I needed. So shame happens between people, and it is best resolved between people. So Jade asked a great question. You said for men it's like a box getting smaller and smaller. For women it's like a web, like a spider web, and we're stuck. So no matter which way you go, you're getting more and more entwined in it. Nothing is right. Sure, walking in the spider web. These guys are too young. They don't know this song.
They probably weren't even born when that song came out.
Well, they're probably born, but maybe? I don't know. When did that song come out? It'd have been like 95, right?
1 second.
Okay, he's gonna look it up to find out when No Doubt's Spiderweb song came out. We'll see if you guys were born then or not. Great question, Jade. Did I answer it?
1995.
Okay, 1995 is when Spiderweb came out.
You kids with your hula hoops.
Your Engelbert Humperdinck.
You never.
Yeah! So, there are 3 ways that we can respond to shame. This will be the last thing I talk about tonight. You can, it's fight. It's fight or flight or pleasing. So like fight would be like the aggressive, blaming, rationalizing, like going on the attack against the other people. That would be the fight. The flight is when you like retreat, and those are when you go into hiding, or you just kind of like curl up in that ball to try to protect yourself. And then the pleasing Pleasing, proving, and perfecting is the, oh no, I'm gonna show you I'm worthy of love and belonging. What do I need to do to make that happen? And so you work so hard to get approval from other people, but really it's got to come from within you. And that's why it is so exhausting to do that. So if you can understand like how that's related to shame, then you can start to do the work on yourself to have your power come from within instead of getting it from external sources, which by the way is like the worst thing ever. If you give your power away to everyone else, like now you're out of control of your life and how you feel and where you are in the world and just all of it. It's not healthy. So to do that work, to have it come from within you, to understand that you are a human being, not a human doing. And so your worth is not tied to your productivity or what you put out into the world. You are worthy just as you are. Just, you know, like babies when babies are born, we love them, right? They don't have to do anything special. They didn't get these grades or create this product or get this promotion or have this job or all those things. Like they don't need that. Like we just love them as they are. But as we get older, we forget that we are inherently worthy of love and belonging, that we don't have to do anything special for that, that it is not tied to our actions. It's just part of the gig. But when we start to believe that it's tied to all these other things, that's when we feel defeated and miserable. So, okay guys, yeah. Next week what I'm gonna do is, well, what's our actual time? 7:26. I think that's where we'll wrap for tonight. If you guys have questions or comments, please type them. There is the chat box at the bottom of your phone screen where you can type in questions or comments, or if you're on your computer, the chat is on the right-hand side. And so while I'm waiting to see if there's any questions or comments coming through, I want to give you guys some resources. So I have been on this journey now for 6 or 7 years, like the defense against the dark arts, combating shame, working on having my power come from within, hence the name of my company, right guys? Really working on developing my own worthiness. And so I've got all these tools now that have helped me in the process, and my job now is to take this knowledge and share it with you in the world to help you get stronger as well and defend yourself against the dark arts. So there's a couple of ways that you can get some free resources. Number one, all the tools that help support me, you can find on my YouTube channel in Resilience 101. So like the fire ceremony is in there, the cutting the ethereal cords is in there, practicing forgiveness is in there, and then a whole bunch of other things too that can help you when you're feeling down. Next Friday, we'll do another YouTube live at 7 p.m. Central Time. And that one we're going to talk about how the dark arts, aka shame gremlins, influence our behavior and what we can do about it. And then the third thing is, if you head over to my website, there's 2 different things that you guys can do. Number one, if you aren't already subscribed to my newsletter, this is where I send out tips. I share my journey of how it's all going out here in the arena, working on having my power come from within instead of from others. And so I share tips and I share videos and, a little bit about how it's going for me. And then also you can, on my website, get the Facebook connection for my business, The Power Within. And so there I'm also sharing tips and videos and articles and all kinds of stuff to help you along on your journey. So I believe in you. You can do this. I am Coach MARISA Reyes at The Power Within, empowering healthy and fulfilling lives, body, mind, and soul.
Whoa.